Hey guys, this is Jeremy with Talking Umbrella Travel, and we are here today for a very special video to discuss D23 with one of my really good friends, Andrew Herbert. Andrew, hey man, how are you?
Hey, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Oh, always. Well, so 2 years ago, you and I sat on camera and we discussed the last D23 you went to.
We
And so,
did.
so tonight we're just I want to talk with you about the announcements, especially mainly the park announcements that Disney made. I just kind of want to go back and forth and
Are you
see what
sure
we
you don't want to do a whole hour of talking about The Rock's new monster truck movie?
I don't know that we could do 5 minutes on The Rock's new monster truck movie, but I will tell you, there's probably a 6-year-old and their dad losing their mind that that's a real thing.
Absolutely. It does
Because
look kind of cool.
look, when Austin was 5 or 6 years old, he went through a monster truck phase, and he had these, I mean, big ones, aluminum monster trucks, and he would build ramps in the hallway and just jump them. But I will tell you, as someone who was watching parts of the D23 panels from afar, I kind of had to go, really? Now, you were there, and I know this isn't
Yes.
one of the park announcements, but did they mention anything about that existing in the Cars universe?
Oh, no, no, no. You're talking about the Rock's movie, right?
Yeah, it's a
It, it,
cartoon or live action?
it is
Live
live
action.
action.
Oh,
It appears to be a documentary of sorts. They did not specify, but the big announcement was they're putting you in the trucks, and then you will experience what it's like to be in the truck on the big screen. So I think you and Austin should go.
I let Austin ride in a monster truck when he was 6 at an arena over here
Oh,
for
wow.
$5. So I don't know how you top that, but maybe they will. You never know with Disney. So lots of things happened at this ultimate fan event. There were announcements all throughout the Disney universe, but I and Andrew, we've been friends for a very long time. We are all about the parks. As many of you know, of course, I became a travel agent because I love the parks so much. And so in the Parks and Experiences showcase, Josh Tomorrow got up and he made over 23 new announcements from new lands, new attractions, new dining, new cruise ships. The coolest thing to me was the fact that he said none of this is going to be blue sky. And for those of you who are not hip to the lingo, Andrew, tell folks what blue sky means.
So Blue Sky is, I believe, originated with Disney. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just I'm biased being a Disney fan that everything originates Disney. But the Imagineers use Blue Sky as kind of that blank page of which an idea can grow. It is still in that phase of becoming a full-fledged idea. So when something is blue sky, there is not a shovel in the ground or a permit filed yet, because Disney hasn't decided whether or not they're going to make the attraction.
So what Josh Tomorrow said is all of this has gotten past the blue sky phase, and they are either in the middle of construction or they are getting ready to begin construction. Is that kind of what he said in those panels?
Yes, that is my understanding.
That's unbelievable. That's one of the first times that I've ever seen a D23 or any kind of parks panel where they say, no, 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 this isn't us thinking off into the future. This is the very near future.
Well, I think Josh Tomorrow said that up front. It was one of the first things he said, and I think that was in direct response because they heard from the fans that the last D23 was not impressive with announcements, specifically for the parks, and the concept of beyond Big Thunder Mountain and potentially what could be going to a reimagined Dino Land. It was not received well by the Disney fans. They wanted to know what is actually going to happen.
Right. The blue sky is a fun idea, but at some point you want those Imagineers to go from blue sky to let's move some dirt.
Yeah, you don't want to get super excited about this new attraction and then it never happens.
You don't want to get excited about a Mary Poppins attraction in Epcot and then get your dreams crushed.
Or a play pavilion.
Or the reimagined spaceship Earth, or all of those things. But the internet is talking about all of these announcements. So I figured that I would get one of my best friends and one of my biggest Disney fans with me on here, and we could talk about a couple of these things, what we think may happen. Some things Andrew and I agree on, some things Andrew and I disagree on. We'll talk about those in a little bit. But let's start at Disneyland. Let's get a couple of those out of the way. One of the most interesting of the announcements was going to happen in the Disneyland park, and it's something called Walt Disney: A Magical Life. It's going to open in 2025. It's going to open in the Main Street Opera House, where Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln already exists. And so essentially what's going to happen is these two shows, one of them with an audio animatronic Lincoln and one of them with an audio animatronic Walt Disney, will play in rotation. And so what is really cool about that is Walt Disney: A Magical Life is going to feature the Walt Disney story. And it's going to be Walt talking to an audience. What do you remember from the panels or from the presentation about this particular announcement?
So specifically, this attraction, this new show with Walt, should open prior to Disneyland's 70th anniversary, which is next year. So Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln, if you were to go tomorrow to Disneyland, is down for refurbishment. So this is on its way. And I believe it's going to be the only show for a little while. They're only going to show the Walt Disney show due to popularity, but they are installing a rotating theater or stage in order to turn it so Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln can still perform after the 70th anniversary. But specifically from the announcement, I think fans were overjoyed. Next to Villains Land, and sorry for a spoiler there, but I think those were the two that really just captivated the crowd.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. The animatronic figure will have Walt Disney's voice, and it will be officially his voice. Is that correct?
I think they're using archival footage, and you will hear his voice, and just like the hologram that was a part of the D23 100th museum tour, which I was very disappointed that I never got to see.
Right.
So I'm super excited about a Walt animatronic.
I'm of two minds of that. Part of me says, we're making Walt an animatronic. Like, would Walt want to be an animatronic? But at the same time, I think that the generation after us, my children, my younger brothers, Lincoln is a big deal to me. We grew up learning about Abraham Lincoln. I think children of the younger generations, not trying to compare Walt and Lincoln in any way, but I think they have that same mythical idea like my generation does about Abraham Lincoln. I think these generations have that same kind of mythical idea about who Walt Disney is.
I agree with you. I think Walt Disney would struggle with the fact that he became an animatronic.
Right.
But at the same time, he made Lincoln an animatronic. Would right. Lincoln have wanted to be an animatronic? So, right. I don't think Walt has ground to come back and argue with us about. Right. He did struggle in front of the camera. He didn't want to necessarily be the figurehead. He truly believed in the team, but I think the fans really will love this.
Awesome. I'm very excited to see it. I love Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. I love that whole opera house there. So very excited to see how the Imagineers do that. Some other announcements that Disney made for Disneyland. We get, of course, the opening date for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, November 15th, over in Critter Country. We're going to get a reopening of that as Bayou Country. And supposedly, there's also going to be a new menu for the Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree, which is going from the Hungry Bear restaurant, correct?
Correct. So now Country Bear themed.
Right, with no Country Bear show.
No Country Bears.
And so also in 2026, the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is going to be having some additions to its show, where they're going to have characters from the new film, The Mandalorian and Grogu. That's going to come to both Disneyland and to Hollywood Studios here, not here, but closer to us here in Florida. Moving over to California Adventure, we get the third Avengers campus attraction, Avengers Infinity Defense. That looks cool to me. I think that's going to be a really, really neat attraction. What do you remember from that part of the presentation?
We've been hearing about this attraction for a while, so I don't think the crowd was really, they wanted to know more, but they were really waiting for something that they did not know anything about.
Right.
So the ride vehicle looks a lot like the recently opened Peter Pan attraction in Tokyo Disney Sea at Disney. Oh, wow. No, my Disney trivia cred is going to be taken away from me. What is Fantasy Springs?
Fantasy Springs.
Fantasy Springs. I wanted to say Disney Springs. I was like, that's not right.
So,
so it looks, the ride vehicle looks a lot like that. So I think if the story is strong, they can get some of they're getting Robert Downey Jr. to come back, I believe, to voice Iron Man for this attraction.
Yeah.
So they made that announcement. I know it's for the other attraction. I'm assuming it's both.
Of course.
So if they get a lot of the MCU back together to create a resounding success of a story, this will be something that people will love.
Yeah, it's gonna the new Avengers campus is gonna double the size with the addition of the Infinity Defense and the Stark Flight Lab. It's the fourth attraction. It's not, of course, going to be as big as Infinity Defense, but essentially, it's you're going to get Tony Stark in both of these. It's more of a Stark Flight Lab is going to be where you are kind of the test subjects on some of Tony's new ideas that are coming to the Avengers. So that's going to be kind of cool as well. Now, the one that I think is kind of cool in California Adventure is that in 2026, California Adventure is going to get a new attraction themed to Coco. It's going to be a kind of a boat ride through a trip to the land of the dead, and some really beautiful concept art. Any thoughts on that attraction?
I'm just curious where it's going to go. I don't know where it makes sense. And with the next announcement you're going to mention, we know where that's going. Or speculation is pretty strong as to where it's going. So it kind of limits where Coco is able to fit in. So whether or not we see maybe Ariel's underwater adventure could be removed, that could be a place. How
much land is there that I haven't looked at the map. If you go over towards Pixar Pier, past the Ferris wheel, is there a lot of land over there, or is Pixar Hotel literally right there, Pixar Place right there? Because there's that Hispanic themed eatery right there that I thought about as well.
I don't know how much land there is. I mean, maybe you could take away the eatery and Goofy's Sky School.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming at some point that coaster is going to need to be replaced or highly refurbished. They got rid of Countdown to Extinction, so it might be time for that coaster to go as well, and they could put Coco there.
It's a Pixar movie. You would think that they want to keep it near a Pixar area.
Sure.
But as long as they don't get rid of the Incredicoaster, I'm good. So the next really big announcement, and I had a chance to watch back some clips of this. You were there in person, but it felt like the crowd kind of went wild on this new Avatar experience for California Adventure. It's going to be inspired by the movie The Way of Water and the new movie Fire and Ash. It's one attraction right now. They kind of show a boat ride in the theming or in the concept art, very similar to what we have at Animal Kingdom. Did it seem like that new attraction caused a buzz in the hall?
I think so. I mean, the concept art is very striking. I would throw out there that the boat looks a little bit more like the Pirates of the Caribbean at Shanghai Disneyland.
Right.
So you know, for folks who are not familiar with that, the boat is able to turn more dramatically. So your Disney is able to make sure you are seeing what you need to see of the story.
Right.
And it's using magnets. So
yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance to Google that or YouTube that, it's an unbelievable creative idea that the Imagineers did there with that. Something that really, really is awesome. And maybe they're going to use that here. They announced 1 or 2 attractions for this area.
be honest, Jeremy, I didn't do my homework before filming. I don't recall, but it's at least that one boat attraction.
Yeah, from what I remember 1 attraction is confirmed. But again, somehow Disney says with future expansion, I get that the Anaheim City Council and Disney are working close to expand the borders of Disney. But you've been to Disneyland multiple times. I've been to Disneyland multiple times. Like I don't see how they're going to continue expanding. But with Disney, everything's possible.
Sure.
Talking about Disneyland, what was the one announcement for Disneyland that you really were like, yes, this is what I'm excited to see?
I would love to. I really am interested in experiencing that Pirates of the Caribbean attraction that's overseas, and I'm most likely will never, or it'll take a while before I get over there. So it's great to see that technology come over here, and I think it'll work well with Avatar.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge Disneyland fan. Andrew, I know you and your fiance are as well. But let's talk about the park that we visit the most. Let's talk about the announcements here in the Disney World Resort. Big changes they said Disney is saying big changes to all 4 parks. But can we agree that Disney's really changing 3 of the parks and the 4th one is already been changed?
I think they were going for it has been changed, and we did this big change, and now we have Test Track to look forward to and a new Epcot Spaceship Earth Lounge. But that was all that was talked about at D23.
And look, don't get me wrong. I love the reimagined Epcot. I really do. I love the new Walt Disney statue. No matter what the internet says, I think it's a cool spot for you to go and look out over Walt's vision. I love the new, very starkly decorated lunchroom that they're calling the Communicore area. But I'm excited to see what they do more. I really like the idea of that one spot that serves the Food and Wine Fest or the festival treats year round. That's a cool thing. I'm a huge fan of all Epcot festivals. I love Food and Wine. I love Flower and Garden. I have a soft spot in my heart for International Festival of the Arts. Anything that can call itself IFARTS and still people like it, I'm a fan of that. But let's get into to some of the announcements. Gonna hit on a couple of them really quick. In the Magic Kingdom, starting there, there's a Pirates of the Caribbean themed tavern that's going to come open in 2025. Just kind of scrolling through, Disney Starlight is going to be the first nighttime spectacle, nighttime parade in the Magic Kingdom, going to start summer 2025. It's going to kind of build on the legacy of the Main Street Electrical Parade. My family is a huge proponent of the Main Street Electrical Parade, so the fact that they're kind of paying homage to that is really cool. But the 2 things, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the 2 announcements in the Magic Kingdom that got people really excited and really concerned is the first is that they are bringing a Cars themed expansion to Frontierland. That means that we're going to lose 2 things. So Andrew, tell us a little bit more about that Cars themed expansion, where they say it's going to go, and what are we going to lose?
So I've been watching some great videos speculating as to looking at the concept art and seeing where this land is going to go. So big shout out to DSNY newscast. If you don't already watch, Jack is really great, nice guy. I've met him, and Braden at Mickey Views. So you know, it's not a Cars Land, it's a Frontierland expansion that will be 2 Cars attractions.
It's not a retheming of Frontierland. It is 2 Cars attractions with a Frontierland theme.
Correct. So
Okay.
they're going with a more Pacific Northwest type feel, with pine trees and mountains, and that kind of frontier, that will have 2 Cars attractions. So we are not seeing Radiator Springs. McQueen and Mater will be exploring this new territory. So for me, the positive, I'm glad that Disney is doing something new. They are not picking up Radiator Springs from California Adventure and putting it down right next to Big Thunder Mountain. That was a very heavy rumor. So to see Disney do something completely new for Disney World, I think is very exciting.
Yeah. So just to give folks just a taste of what they're talking about is it's going to be a variation. Well, there's 2 attractions coming, Cars attractions with a Frontierland theme. One of them is going to be a variation on Radiator Springs Racers over in California Adventure. And I'll be honest, I love that idea. I would love if they put Cars Land in the middle of Magic Kingdom. I would, because there's no better theming than just literally walking down that Radiator Springs and seeing the movie come to life right there in front of me. But the idea of something new with that Cars theme with a Radiator Springs Racer variation, I like that a lot. Now, tell the folks what is going to be taken out for this to go in there.
Unfortunately, it does seem as if Tom Sawyer's Island and the Rivers of America will be going away. Now, I have seen some other rumors that maybe part of the Rivers of America will stay. I like that idea. Personally, I understand. Even it's always hard as a Disney fan to see something that was an original opening day attraction be lost. At the same time, I understand why Tom Sawyer's Island and Rivers of America attractions are not drawing guests in. They're not big people eaters. And there's just not much to do there. They have not kept it up. You take a ride around the Rivers of America, you're not really going to see that much. So I understand it, but I do wish that they found a way to keep at least the some of the river that is closest to Liberty Square and running down Frontierland intact, and dry dock the paddle wheel somehow.
Yeah. I loved Tom Sawyer Island when my kids were smaller. I always found it was always a hassle to have to get over there, to try and make your way to. But once you got there, it was like you were by yourself, which is not what you want in a Disney attraction. If you're Disney, you want folks crawling all over the place. I liked it. Am I sad to see it go? Absolutely. Am I going to go chain myself to Tom Sawyer Island? No. As long as we're not talking about Carousel of Progress, I'm fine. Everything else, if it needs to go away, it can go away. Carousel of Progress just needs to stay right where it is. But that's just me. But people were, for a while, they were up in arms, man. I don't want to see Tom Sawyer Island go. I don't want to see the paddle wheeler go. At the same time, when's the last time? I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to watch this and say, I go there every trip. And I get that. And I appreciate that.
Bob Goff goes every so often to go work, but that's the Disneyland version,
right,
for a little whimsy. So there are some big Tom Sawyer Island fans out there.
If I could work at Disneyland or Disney World every day, I would definitely pick a park bench. I prefer the rocking chairs at Hall of Presidents. Shout out to those rocking chairs. I love those rocking chairs. If those are ever open, you can people watch for hours. It's fantastic. So that's one of the big announcements, but the one that I got a chance to see that had everybody losing their minds And we're getting close to the end of our time. So what we're probably going to do is we're probably going to make this a 2-part video. We're going to finish up right now talking about this announcement, and then Andrew and I are going to come back later, and we're going to take this other whole big discussion, because Andrew and I are going to have a disagreement here in a little bit, and I don't want to have the good stuff with the disagreement.
That's a good teaser.
Yeah. Disney finally said what is beyond Big Thunder Mountain. And what Disney has said is that now the name that they're using is a Villain's Land is coming to the space beyond Big Thunder Mountain. It was teased in 2022. There's no timeline, but like we said, this isn't blue sky. It's happening. It's going to have 2 major attractions there. It's going to be going to help it be the largest expansion of the Magic Kingdom to date. It's going to have all your fan favorite villains from all the Walt Disney Studios films, 2 new attractions, dining, shopping. Andrew, how crazy was the crowd during that announcement?
I mean, this is a rumor that has gone back decades. You know, for the longest time, I remember as a teenager that when Disney does a 5th park, they're going to open a villains theme park, whole theme park with just roller coasters and more teenage and adult leaning attractions in order to go up against Universal and SeaWorld. So people have been chomping at the bit for a Villains Land and an attraction. So that one was saved for the end, and I think it got the biggest applause.
Yeah. The artwork looks unbelievable. I know that we're not going to get the dark, gloomy skies over that theme park all the time, but the jagged rocks, that the outcroppings, and if you had to have an opinion about whose castle that is in the background, did they say whose castle it was, or are people speculating?
They didn't make any specific announcements about Villains Land, except that it is in fact coming. The only real icon that you can make out in terms of characters is a Maleficent dragon next to a coaster. Mm-hmm. So is it her castle, a generic castle? I'm not sure.
I think it's a whole land where Dr. Facilier is the main character. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. If I'm truly going to call him the best villain, which I still do, by the way, I think he has to be in there somewhere. But yeah, if you look at the artwork, and I've got it pulled up on my side, you can see that castle. You can see just how it evokes to me the movie Sleeping Beauty, and how Maleficent's castle up there on that crooked turn of a mountain, and you of course got her as a dragon there spewing her green fire, and in the foreground of the picture you've got a raven right there. So going to be very, very interesting. I also thought about the fact of where it's situated and where the Haunted Mansion is situated. You've got Big Thunder, you've got a waterway, and you've got the Haunted Mansion. You've almost got a perfect segue back into Liberty Square right there in the Haunted Mansion.
From some of the videos that I've seen on YouTube, and these people do have reliable sources, one rumor that's going around is that because Rivers of America is going away, they're going to open up a walkway past the Haunted Mansion, and that's how you would enter Villains Land. And there could be behind Haunted Mansion a Haunted Mansion themed restaurant.
I'm not mad about it.
It's not announced. That's not official, but that was something that I've heard once or twice.
If you look at the area from the top down, looking at the map, that whole area behind Big Thunder Mountain. First of all, it's a lot of property back there. I didn't realize. I just always assumed that not Central Casting, but Disney University was right back there, and it kind of is. But as you wrap around, they've got a lot of room to play with back there. I was very, very impressed.
And it seems as if cars could have been further back and saved Tom Sawyer's Island, or at least cut down on Tom Sawyer's Island, do kind of like Disneyland, where they reshaped the rivers of America, so you still have it. But I think Disney is saving land for other expansions.
Yeah.
That Cars and Villains is not the end of the Magic Kingdom expansion story.
I think that we've got lots of great new things coming that we haven't even Disney's got some amazing stuff they haven't shared with us yet. Well, we have covered Disneyland, we have covered the Magic Kingdom, and we have got more to talk about the next time we're together. Andrew, thank you for taking some time to talk about these things with us. It's always fun to talk about Disney with you. It's always fun to share our opinions on Disney with my guests that travel with us at Talking Umbrella Travel. If you would like to travel with Talking Umbrella Travel, we would love to have you. You can reach out to us at talkingumbrella@gmail.com. You can also cruise with us this coming up June 2025. We've made some modifications. Andrew, you and Amy can come as well. June 4th through the 8th, we are doing a 4-night cruise on the Disney Magic to Disney's newest island, Lighthouse Point, and we want to invite everybody to go with us. It's a bunch of friends and family. We're calling it our second family cruise, and we want to invite everybody within the sound of my voice to join us for the family cruise. Guys, thank you so much from all of us at Talking Umbrella Travel and my really amazing friend, Andrew. Guys, first of all, Andrew, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeremy.
And you guys have a magical day.
Good night.